We are rolling.
When we think about homelessness, people are often surprised that Clatsop County has the highest homeless rate in Oregon. Today, we're going to talk with one of our key nonprofit partners, Clatsop Community Action. You may know them as CCA. I'm Patty Jo Angelini. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for Clatsop County.
I'm Jennifer Benoit, Senior Communications Specialist for Clatsop County.
I am Viviana Matthews. I'm the Executive Director at Clatsop Community Action.
Viviana, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been doing social services in Clatsop County for 23 years. My first 11 were with Head Start, which is a program on the Community Action team. I was a family advocate for many, many years there. In 2010, I moved to Clatsop Community Action for the nonprofit here in Clatsop County. And I've been working there for almost 13 years, first as a case manager and then deputy director for a number of years. And last 4 years as the executive director.
Clearly, you have a lot of compassion for our community, and our community is very important to you. Recently, CCA had the grand opening of a new shelter as part of a $3.8 million grant that was received from the state. So tell us a little bit about this shelter and also CCA's work in the shelter community.
Yeah, well, there's so much to tell about the shelter. First of all, thanks to the county commissioners in Clatsop County for not only looking for fundings, but also apply for fundings through Turnkey 2.0 to be able to buy the Columbia Inn to make that into a shelter. And also given the opportunity to Clatsop Community Action to provide shelter services at the Columbia Inn through different type of fundings. The county had a meeting with all the social service providers in Clatsop County and offered the opportunity to have a shelter. And then CCA approached the county and said, we wanted to be part of that solution. CCA looked into the last point-in-time count, which is the methodology of counting homeless individuals in Clatsop County, and that the point-in-time count is done throughout the state, the last 10 days of January. In last 2019, 2020 was noticed that our point-in-time count, the number of homeless individuals have increased by a lot within the last 5 years. Not only that, but the different demographic have increased, such as people who are fleeing domestic violence, youth, veterans, people with physical disability. By looking at point-in-time count, we decided the only way to make a significant change in homelessness was to be able to house or offer services to the people who are not being seen, people who are experiencing homelessness, who are in shelter, who are not seen, but the numbers speak volume for how many of that type of demographic we have, which is youth 18 to 24, people who are fleeing domestic violence, the Latino community, veterans, people who have a physical disability. We wanted to be part of that solution, and that's how we started working towards opening the Columbia Inn.
These people you're saying they aren't seen. So how do you find them?
Clatsop Community Action has been doing point-in-time count for the past 20 years. And within the last 10 years, we've been very driven of doing the best count possible, demonstrating that people are not double counted. And we go look everywhere, anywhere in Clatsop County for people who are in shelter. And also people who are living in transitional housing or people who are doubling up. We have great partnership with the school. We have great partnership to do the point-in-time count. Other social service providers such as the Harbor, Helping Hands, CBH, and the hospitals. And then we all work to try to get the best accurate number of homeless individuals.
That seems like a big task.
It is a big task, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. One of them is by facilitating and putting together Project Homeless Connect that happens at the end of January. And then during that week, we also count in many different cities and camps and whatnot.
This is really hard work, hard on the heart. How do you do that? How do you do this kind of work?
I would say that it's not about me. The work that we do at CCA is about the people that we serve. Clatsop Community Action not only works with people who are in shelter, but the majority of the work that we do is homeless prevention. And we're very good at it because 80% of what we do is homeless prevention to help people avoid evictions. If it wasn't for the help that we give out to our community members, our point-in-time count would be a much higher number. I and my staff and people who work at CCA, we focus on the people we serve. The work that we do is not about us. And we also, focus on the good experiences of it. very easy to focus on the difficult things and oversee the things that bring us joy as a worker. So we try to put the negativity aside and focus on the positive change.
How many people do you work with?
We have 25 employees at CCA. We do have volunteers who were volunteer at the regional food bank. And because of confidentiality and whatnot, they're not able to volunteer at the social service office. However, we're always looking for volunteers for the regional food bank.
What are some common misconceptions about homelessness that you would like to dispel?
That one fits all. That one homeless person, if we have a negative experience or a positive experience with somebody who's homeless, that all homeless are the same. They're drug addicts, they use they don't want to work, they don't want the help. That's probably the most misconception. There are many faces of homelessness. Somebody might be struggle with a place to live because of whatever reason, and that person is homeless. Somebody who's not able to pay their rent or their food, don't know the services out there, and staying with somebody, a friend or relative, that's considered homeless. And also people who are fleeing domestic violence, no matter of their status, of their social economic status, they are homeless. Somebody's who fleeing because they don't have other options. The misconception probably is that when people think of homelessness, they think of a male between 30 and 70 having a sign at the corner saying he needs money, and they think that person is high or have many other issues. That might be true, might not. It's not one fits all.
You talked about the joy that you and your staff experience sometimes. Can you give us some examples of that joy?
I have a perfect example. We decided on a date that we were going to have open the Columbia Inn. That Friday, my husband and I went to Costco and we had, 3-4 carts full of food. It was raining and we got so wet, and I was so stressed out about people staying at the shelter and not having enough to eat, or I wasn't sure what kind of diet. And I just took it to a complete different level. Yesterday when I went to the shelter, I bought all that food. And yesterday when I went to the shelter, one of our participants was cooking a huge pot of chili, not only for herself, for everybody, including the workers. She wanted to give back. To me, that's the joy of my work. And also my coworkers. I could not do the work that I do without their support, and how much they love what they do, and how much they respect one another, and how much they respect our community, and they want to be served, and they want to represent CCA in a positive way. Board of directors at CCAs are outstanding community members of Clatsop County, outstanding people that we all see the mission of CCA and we all want to get there.
The Columbia Inn shelter, is this the first shelter that CCA and you have put together?
Yeah, so then CCA has been receiving fundings through grants from the state of Oregon, specifically from Oregon Housing Community Services for many years. We have always passed those fundings to our community providers, such as Helping Hands, the Harbor, Warming Centers, Astoria Warming Centers, Seaside Warming Center, CBH, Clatsop Behavioral Health. However, about 2 years ago, during pandemic, the Seaside Police Department and also city commissioners and Astoria Police Department and city commissioners reached out to us to open up a warming center, one in Seaside and one in Astoria. We did it, and we did it in a way that it was very successful because we partner with key community partners. So before that, I never thought that was a territory that CCA wanted to embark, because we're very good about homeless prevention, but we had a lot to learn from people who are unsheltered. By passing the fundings, we were kind of letting other providers do the work. But then when we open up the warming centers, we noticed that anything is possible when it comes to funding and when it comes to services for the unsheltered. I brought it up to the CCA board of directors. Well, why not us? Raising up, they thought, well, let's go for it. And that's how we decided that we wanted to be part of that solution, having a shelter here in Clatsop County.
So you mentioned a warming center. So can you help people understand what the difference is in a warming shelter and then maybe some other shelter?
The Columbia Inn shelter, it's open 365 days out of the year. The warming center, as you can imagine, it only opens for somebody to go get in warm. So we have to follow the temperature guidelines, 32 and under, and it can only be open from November to March and only up to 90 days per year. So that's pretty much a warming center.
So that way people who are unhoused have a place to go when it's very cold.
Where it's very cold, rainy, snowing, it's under 32 degrees in only 90 days out of the year. The Columbia Inn is by the referral only. People are not able to walk in and expect a bed. They have to be referred because of the demographic reserve.
How long can somebody stay at the Columbia Inn?
The shelter is divided into 3 different categories: youth, families, and congregate shelter, which means people can be roommates. They don't have to be family related, they don't have to be friends, but they'll have a roommate. Congregate shelter, because of funding, they can stay there up to 3 months. However, we'll be reevaluating those stays on a daily basis. And then the family shelter up to 6 months, and so is the youth. And while people are staying at the shelter, they will have to work on self-sufficiency, which means they'll be working with CCA case management on secure permanent housing, because shelter is not a permanent housing, it's a shelter.
What are the requirements for somebody to stay there?
To fit the demographics, and the requirement is that they have to stay sober while they're in the shelter, and we have 0 tolerance to violence.
Do you see yourself expanding out further in this area?
Yes, we are expanding to have a shelter in Seaside. We're working with the city of Seaside to get the proper permits, and hopefully we'll open up sometimes this winter. We've been working on getting the micro shelter, which are the tiny homes, for about 3 years, but putting it all together since last June of 2022. So we have 18 tiny homes. We have bathrooms for female, male, and non-gender. And we also have ADA bathroom showers. We have a community room where people can meet with case managers or medical providers and whatnot. So hopefully that takes place this winter.
You have a lot on your plate.
Not enough. Looking for things.
Okay, what are you looking for now?
I want to be able to open something for youth, not so much a shelter, but a place for youth to be. And perhaps that it's not under the missions of CCA. Our mission is to provide housing, food, and basic need. I'm going to sound so corny, but the youth is our future, and we need to invest in our youth. We need to give our youth everything possible for them to be successful at whatever they choose. We don't have programs for youth, very limited programs for youth, especially for youth who live in poverty. I want to be able to end the cycle of poverty, whatever that is, and to be able to offer some types of options. And I don't know if that's my place at CCA or not. That's what my goal is to do.
Speaking of youth, my understanding is when the point in time count was done, that we found a lot of unhoused youth. Can you talk about that?
We did find a lot of unhoused youth. Because of our relationship with the school, we were able to count students. And that's where it shows that we have a lot of youth experiencing homelessness. Under 18 and especially 18 to 24. Over 25% of people who stay at the warming center were in that category. That's a huge percent. When we saw people who stayed at the shelter, about 40 people a night, and 25% of that are youth, that speaks volume that they need help. Mm-hmm. Even 1% is too many.
I can't even imagine what it's like not to have a home, but not to have a home and to be so young. Not to know how to get resources, or just the things that you may be facing that are very scary that you don't want anyone in life, but especially anyone young, having to encounter.
Because then if we're not helping them, then that's how they become something that they probably didn't want to be.
So why don't we end this on another joyful note? Can you tell me another joy that you can share with our listeners?
I have so many. One of them will be probably the dental van today. The dental van has been going to Seaside for many years thanks to the funding from Providence Hospital. However, we really desperately need it here in Astoria. Public Health and Columbia Memorial Hospital and CCA partnered together to bring that dental van. To me, that's a huge joy.
Well, thank you for your time, Viviana. Your time here, but also just all that you do in our community and that your team does in our community. It's really valued.
Thank you.
You're welcome.